Hello, I'm 5th District Supervisor Joe Baca Jr., and we're having our community spotlight. And one of the things we want to do is start a segment series and highlighting our mayors throughout the 5th District. And today we have the honor of highlighting one of our mayors here in the city of Colton, Mr. Frank Navarro. Frank, how are you doing today?
I'm doing fine, Supervisor. Thank you for inviting me. And how are you doing?
Good. We're doing well. Well, first of all, Mr. Navarro, I wanted to thank you for your service in the military, the U.S. Army as an active member, but also the reserves for 30 plus years. And then thank you for your service. You know, you started as a city councilman. So tell us about that journey, why you ran for public office. Why was that important for you?
It was important for me because at that time, I could tell that there was issues going on in the governance of the city internally. And a lot of other people that were more involved than I was came over and they talked to me. And they said, I think you would make a good council member. I said, no, I don't think so. He said, there's somebody else better than me, And, but they kept on talking to me. They went and talked to my family, and then they came back and talked to me, and I says, let me talk to my family. I talked to my family, and they said, well, if you want to do it, Dad. My wife said, I'm there with you if you want to do it. So I did. I ran for city council. God, I can't remember how long ago that was.
2012.
2012, thank you. 2012, I was successful in unseating a two-term council member at that time. I served my first 4 years, and then I ran again the second 4-year term, and I again succeeded over a previous mayor, and I sat at that position for 2 years, and then they convinced me to run for mayor in 2018.
Wow.
They convinced me again, the same people, my friends and my family, and they said, yeah, it'd be a good thing for you, Dad. You're already a councilman, why not go to the next step? So I says, let's give it a shot.
Well, that's great. It sounds like you had a great journey. You started on the council back in 2012, elected to mayor in 2018, and then reelected. So tell us about some of the changes you've, advocated or seen since the time you've been on the council in 2012 to now. Tell us about some of the changes.
Some of the changes was that we started looking, as council members, we started looking for people that had a real interest and a real commitment to the community as far as leadership people. And we started talking to different people. We were able to recruit a couple of individuals to come in as a city manager. And one of them didn't work out too well, but the second one was doing a great job. But then he also found a better place to go to. And then we were left with just the directors rotating through the city manager's position. And then, believe it or not, one of my council members and myself, we had a meeting with one of our directors, who is now the city manager. And we convinced him to let us appoint him as the city manager. And it's been nothing but success since then.
Well, that's good. Sounds like your city's in good financial shape. You made a lot of progress. Tell us about some of the victories or successes you've seen as your leadership as mayor.
My leadership as mayor, positive things. For the last 8 years, we've had a balanced budget, and a balanced budget with all our reserves in place. We did have to, of course, a couple of times dip into the reserves to balance the budget, but it was balanced. We never had to lay off people. We never had to cut services. So we maintained that throughout the 8 years that I've been the mayor, and that's one of the successes. The other one is that we started developing the West Valley area over there by the medical center, and we were very successful in bringing quite a few businesses there. There was a Valero station that was rebranded to a Chevron. We got Black Bear Diner and a little suite of medical care and other services there. And then on the southeast corner of the intersection of Pepper and Valley, we have, of course, Starbucks. We have now L&L Hawaiian Barbecue. We have Firehouse Subs and Habit, and we have Popeye's Chicken there. And then we have some new development further west from Black Bear Diner. There's the Arco, and then a little bit further west is a couple of industrial buildings that have come up here recently. And right now, there's a hotel that's coming in behind the Arco and behind the Black Bear Diner. It's a Holiday Inn Express.
Wow. Well, it sounds like you've got some really, really good projects. Yes. You sound like you've got, some amenities, better places for residents to shop and to eat. You're looking at the Black Bear Diner, which is a very, very popular spot, which the mayor of Rialto visits frequently. I know he's a big fan of Black Bear Diner, but also you're looking at a hotel. And I think for the general public, you can develop transient occupancy tax, which could generate revenue for the city. So that sounds like a good victory, especially travelers amongst the 10 corridor. Those are great things. So also tell us maybe about some regional projects that you've been able to accomplish in Colton.
Regional projects, let me see, infrastructure-wise, regional on the freeways, able to complete the Pepper Avenue interchange, Pepper and Valley Boulevard. We're now starting work on the Mount Vernon I-10 interchange. That's going to be starting here in about another month. They're already doing the preliminary work out there. Over there on Washington Street, over the 215, that bridge was completed about a year and a half ago. It's a very successful project. I was very involved in that project, and actually that project came in with funding from SBCTA and from Caltrans at no cost to the city of Colton.
That's great. We appreciate your leadership and involvement in the SBCTA, and for the general viewers, San Bernardino County Transit Authority, which deals with regional projects for the Inland Empire and San Bernardino County. So those are great things. It's good to see those progress, which alleviates traffic for our residents and just does great things. So one of the things I appreciate as a supervisor is our great partnership. We've been able to make some investments in the city of Colton. You want to share some of those investments and partnerships we've had with the county?
Sure. The investments, and let me tell you, if it weren't for you, I wouldn't be able to sit here and tell you or let the public know about what you have done for the city of Colton and bringing your support to the community of that I'm the mayor at. If I may, I'm going to use some of my notes here because there's quite a bit.
Absolutely. Thank you.
Davis Park. I think you brought in something like about $2.8 million for that project, and it's currently right now going through phase 1. And phase 1, of course, focuses on replacement of playground equipment, etc. Eventually, we are going to be doing basketball courts, tennis courts, and I think going to convert one of the tennis courts to pickleball court. And then we're going to do some work over there at the Carl Rimbaugh softball field, scoreboards, and we having the snack bar, doing some painting, some new fencing, some dugout improvements. And then in the general park area itself, there's going to be improvements like more canopies, more new barbecue grills and trash receptacles. The bathrooms are going to be redone. You know, so all that is because you asked me, what does Colton need? And I said, Davis Park. And you said, I'm there. You know, and I'm all excited now that I see that there's some work being done there. And I can't wait for us to cut the ribbon and have you there for that ribbon cutting and welcome the public. It's going to be a completely rehabilitated park for the residents of Colton. Another project that brings better life,
Quality of life.
quality of life. Thank you. That's the word. Better quality of life for the community, and it's going to really be an A+ as far as I'm concerned once we get done with it.
Good. Well, we're excited about the investments in Davis Park. I know that we worked together on the bike path.
Yeah, the bike path. Yeah, you know, you gave us what, 800 and something thousand for that, and that's complete. And I can already tell that the people are enjoying it because I see more people there in the evenings walking, and in the morning people doing their run in the morning before they go to work. You know, and then during the day, of course, you have the younger people that ride their bikes up and down the bike path. You know, and it's a what I think it's an integral connection for alternative transportation program and plans for connecting the east side of Colton to the downtown portion of Colton. You know, because people can get on that bike path and either walk or ride their bikes. You know.
Sure. Those are great investments, and we're proud to do it as the county and work together. I want to thank my colleagues on the board. I know that we've worked together with some of your public safety challenges that you've had.
Yes, and I really commend you for bringing that to us, because you brought to us sufficient funding for us to put cameras in all our patrol cars that would create a safety environment for our officers and for the people in the back of the car. And not only does it provide visibility to the front of the car, but in the officer section and then in the prisoner section, and then to the rear of the car to see who's behind them and stuff like that. The other thing that you worked with me, and I think it was Sheriff Dicus had something to do with this too, is that you brought those off-terrain vehicles to the police department. That was outstanding. The guys really enjoy doing their patrolling when they do the patrolling down there, or when they do collaborative patrolling with the county, you know, the sheriff's department down in the riverbed. It's a good enforcement tool. It's a good tool for them to show a presence in the riverbed. The other thing that you did, you got us body shields for the police department. Those were the ones they had were kind of antiquated, and I know that you got us some radios for the personnel. And you know, what else have you done? There's so many things that you've done with the police department. Most recently, you got us funding for some new motorcycles for our traffic patrol. 3 BMW motorcycles that we're now waiting for them because according to the notes here, they're going to be to the city. Delivery is between August and September of this year.
Oh, that's great. I think for the general public, sometimes they don't realize is that crime has no barriers, and sometimes, people go into other cities or other jurisdictions, and having this support and those relationships are just so critical. I know one of the things that we helped with, and your office brought the request, was for the vehicle for the animal control.
Yes, the animal control vehicle, that's another thing that you brought to us because the one that we had was not providing the adequate service for the animals that they pick up. So the chief told me, can you ask the supervisor about an animal control vehicle? And I said, I brought it to you. And he said, let me look at it. Sooner than later, the request was responded to, and they're waiting for the vehicle now.
Yeah, Mayor Navarro, one of the things we want to talk about, what does it mean for a collaboration between the county and city? What does that mean to you as a mayor?
What that means to me is that I have a resource of support from the members of the board of supervisors from the county or from the different departments within the county that I can speak to and ask them for help in areas that are either right along the city limits and the county limits, that we can work together, whether it's cleanup, whether it's homeless people. That collaboration right there is very, very positive for the city. And in doing that collaboration with the county, it's not only the homeless, but it's other things. Getting the source of grants, finding source for grants to get projects done in the city of Colton through the county. The other thing that I do a lot is that I collaborate with Caltrans a lot on the regional infrastructure projects. I sit on SCAG. I get a lot of information there for grants for the community to go to SCAG and get funding for alternative transportation, housing, local streets and roads. Get into the mix so we can apply for the grants and hopefully be successful with them. I also, I sit on Omnitrans, so I talk to Omnitrans staff about, bus stops in Colton, improving the bus stops, making them safer for the bus riders so that they can see the safety that's on the buses and they can increase the ridership. I also sit on IVDA, which is the Inland Valley Development Agency, which is a JPA consisting of 5 cities. On there, it's an economic engine to support our airport, which is San Bernardino International Airport, which is another board that I sit on. You and I sit on that board. And in working with those people, my vision for those, and I have layered visions as I go through my day, my city, and then whatever else is next. But through all those agencies, I have visions as to how those visions can come to fruition by collaborating and establishing positive relationships with those agencies and the people that run those agencies. By being upfront, truthful, and with integrity and credibility as to what I'm trying to accomplish in Colton.
No, that's great. We appreciate your leadership and the partnership. Yeah. And as we wrap things up, Mayor Navarro, is there anything you want to share with the community on things that we should be looking for the city of Colton, things to come?
Yeah, I brought a little bit of a list here that I wanted to share with you, and I'll leave this with you so you can peruse through it as you get a chance, because I know you're very busy. But I've got a report here that I get from our planning department, our community development department, and it's 4 double-sided sheets of projects that are in the pipeline in Colton.
That's great.
Everything from residential to commercial to industrial. And they're all here, and they've all got their data on there as to what status they're in right now, whether they're in a hold status or anything like that. We also have working, and you're familiar with this gentleman, Josh LaBarge.
Okay.
Through your help, your collaboration, and the county's collaboration, funding came across for us to open a homeless kind of navigation center for him that's going to house 120 people. And without that, we would still have really very limited control on the homeless people in Colton. That was one of my things that I heard about that he was doing when we were at the city-county conference in Narrowhead. And I jumped into the conversation at that time and I started listening. And then I called Josh LaBarge and says, hey, Josh, I got a lady that wants to sell a motel over here. You interested? Yeah. Brought the two together, and the rest, is kind of history because you stepped in, you brought it to the board. The board said, yeah, we'll do it. Kurt Hagman, I think, supported us on that also, which is a great thing. And now I'm expecting from Josh Labarge to be open for business in June.
That's great.
Excellent, excellent. That's another regional thing that we brought. I interface a lot with the medical center with Andrew Goldfrack. We talk a lot about what's going on at the medical center, and the other regional thing that I'm going to be doing, and I'll get to that, but I want to share this with you, the California School of Science and Medicine. I interface with them a lot, and I'm working with them on bringing other things that they can do to enhance their university platform or their footprint. And I'm going to Washington, D.C. on the 11th of May. It's going to be myself, our community development director, our assistant city manager. We're going to have Dr. Ganadev and Jorge go with us, and then a couple of attorneys from BB&K that are going to be with us, and we're going to go and advocate, because everybody's telling us right now that this is a good window to advocate for the delisting of the fly.
Great.
If we can delist the fly, it'll open all that area on the west side to the south, and over in Rialto, portions of Rialto, where the fly is still there. If we can get it all delisted for the whole area, we can do a regional delist of the insect. It'll open up more development areas for the communities that surround Colton. Basically, more so for Colton. I said we've got the biggest area of fly area.
Sure. Well, Mayor Navarro, we want to thank you for your regional leadership, your partnership with the county, and the great advocacy you do for your residents of the city of Colton. And thank you for the good work. I want to wish you much success in the years to come, and want to thank everybody for tuning in for our community spotlight, highlighting our first city, the city of Colton. Mayor Navarro, thank you for tuning in, and we appreciate you sharing your vision with us, Mayor Navarro. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much for having me.